Hi, I am Brittany Hall, part of Yukon Extension Solid Grounds. I'm one of the project coordinators. And today I am at 333 Valley Street Farm, which is part of Root Life, and I'm talking to Dishaun about his operation and the role of DIY in that. So, Dishaun, can you just tell us a bit about your farm, what you're growing here, and where folks can find your produce and products?
Awesome, indeed. So this farm is fairly new. We upgraded a lot this year. I think we have about 50 raised garden beds. Wow. Between the upper and lower half of the garden, and we grow everything from tomatoes to eggplants to peppers to greens like kale, collards, strawberries, and
everything.
Yeah, other types of specialty crops. Indeed, we can keep going on and on.
Yeah.
Our produce goes to a few different places. We participate with a couple of local CSAs in the greater New Haven area. We also participate at the City Seed Farmers Market, and also a lot of it goes to the community center that this farm is attached to and a part of. I'm on Facebook and IG, and I also have a website. So my website is www.rootlife.org, ROOTLIFE.org.
We've been talking to different farmers about DIY and the role of do-it-yourself projects on the farm, and so we're kind of talking more about like farm hacks, like things that you've done to make your life easier, but you've had to do it yourself.
Yes.
So what has been the role of DIY for you in your experience as a farmer?
Indeed, being an urban farmer, there's a lot of DIY that you have to do to accommodate, and also being an urban farmer like in Westfield, New Haven, which is like interesting because it's in the city, but it's right next to a state park, so we get like all types of animals. Yeah, one of the main DIYs that I did this year was this like kind of like hoop structure. As you can see, it's like PVC pipes and then like some like construction netting actually. Yeah. It's also called garden netting depending on where you get it from. And I used it as a initial barrier for a lot of the pests that we would get. So woodchucks, rabbits. Yeah. If I put a smaller hoop with the remay over it, then it'll prevent the deer from being able to just come down and eat. Yeah. And so it's been very effective this year, but I got the idea from actually looking up how to season extend on YouTube, and somebody had used PVC pipe and greenhouse plastic. Yeah. And so I've been doing that as well. So this actually doubles as more than one function. What I decided to do this year, because I would actually leave it on as well, except for like the heat of the summer all year round, but it was kind of like kind of a hassle. So instead, what I wanted to do was get something where the wind can blow through, so that there's not that parachute effect, and something that will also be a barrier. Yeah. And so I decided to try this garden netting with the clips, and the clips are the same clips you can put on for the greenhouse plastic. Oh yeah. They're just like PVC clips, literally, right? And so they clip right on. You get the right size that you want. These are 3/4 inch pipes. I've done it with 1/2 inch pipes as well. Okay. But the 3/4 is a little bit more sturdy. Really, all that you do is like, you know, you get the PVC clamp, like the metal clamp. Yeah. And you kind of clamp it into the side of the raised garden bed. You have the 3/4 of an inch PVC pipe. You can get like a EMT pipe, the metal pipes. Yep. You can cut it down to like 9 to 10 inches, bang it into the ground, and then you can like kind of lay the pipe over it. Yeah. And then it'll be stuck in here. We actually, for this one, we actually banged it into the ground. Okay. So we're using the pipe itself. Yes, we're using the EMT pipes for this one. For most of the other ones, I use the clamps. On the side, yeah. Indeed, these are just regular 10-inch. PVC pipes. Okay. Oh, sorry, we got 10 inch, 10 foot. Yeah. PVC pipes, and we just bent them. They bend very well. At the top, we put these black zip ties. With the zip ties, it's like you can tighten them and loosen them slightly, just enough. The PVC pipe is plastic, so it has like this slippery effect. Yeah. So it slides up and down. Bring it up and tighten it when I bring it up to keep it tight. It's pest proof for certain. So do you have an idea about how much it costs for like doing one section of these? I think one of these rolls is about $100. I can break it down piece by piece. The PVC pipe is about $4, like $3.20 something in wholesale, usually at Home Depot or Lowe's. The clips, you can get about 50 of these for about $15 off of Amazon. The clamps that tie on the PVC pipe to the wooden plank of the garden bed, you can get about 50 of those for about $15. And the netting, you can get 100 feet for about $50.
Okay.
This is like 40 feet going one way, and then like 4 feet going that way.
Yep.
So altogether, that's like 80, 96 feet. So
to get
one row can do this whole section, and this is 5 beds, 4 by 8 beds.
Yep.
If you want to get the EMT pipe, if you're going to do the virgin in the ground,
Okay, yeah.
the EMT metal conduit pipe is about $5 for a 10-foot pole, and each stick that I put at the bottom of each one of these PVC pipes on both sides is about a foot long, so you get like 10 for $5.
And so, like, what about mistakes? Have you ever made any? How do you avoid making costly or labor-consuming mistakes when you're making something yourself?
Indeed, I definitely have made mistakes, and my biggest suggestion is just to be thorough. What I learned with this is, like, if you leave a little bit open, it's just enough for a woodchuck to get through and do all the damage in the world. So it's like you put it up for nothing. If you reinforce things tight, check every corner, check every nook. You know, this is not completely level ground, so some places are a little bit easier for it to go underneath and come up. So it's like little things like that, and a lot of that actually just took trial and error, right? Because I wouldn't have noticed otherwise until it happened, and I'm like, oh, doing like, you know, the forensics of it. It's like, oh, this is what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, but once you know, being thorough and staying on top of it, things work.
In like future iterations of this, is there anything that you would change?
Yes, actually. So what I would do is I would grab chicken wire, and I would bury the chicken wire a couple of inches deep, and just have it standing up about this high, and have it all around. I think that would be like an extra reinforcement. That's what I'm thinking. I want to see how that works as far as, like, you know, being able to harvest and making sure people aren't like hurting themselves with the metal. That makes sense, trying to get into the beds and things like that. So maybe putting something over the top of the metal to make it a little bit more comforting if you have to lean on it or anything like that. This worked well for the tomatoes and the cucumbers that I have grown. However, particularly for the tomatoes and the cucumbers, I may actually add stakes to kind of like have them go straight up, because they were growing up the curve, and it worked, right? Because this is still like a netting, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a
contained them.
Yeah, indeed. But this, you know, for the sake of how we know how to grow certain things and stake them up, I would actually, like, if I'm not staking them straight down the middle, I would actually like take the green plastic off of it and just put stakes right outside of the garden bed, and have the netting on the stakes instead, like a fence.
Do you have any future projects planned, like that are DIY, that you'd like to try and implement in your operation?
Indeed. So I just came back from Soulfire Farm up in upstate New York. Shout out to Naima Penniman. She did a real interesting setup where she had like a almost like a greenhouse table. You know, the ones with like the holes on the bottom, and you kind of just water. So she had that. She had her microgreen trays on there. She put pipes kind of like this, but not this thick, over the table, and then she put a long pipe down the middle, and then she has like bags of mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, hanging and growing out of there.
That's cool.
And then she kind of has them, because they're outside, she has like a shade netting over all of it, so it retains the moisture. And it also keeps things slightly cool, because it took more microgreens and about mushrooms. And so it's like the perfect setup. It's very small. It's like the size of a greenhouse table. And so it definitely is something that I'm excited to try here for myself, because I grow microgreens indoors. And outdoors too, but not as efficient as I do indoors. But that was an efficient setup, and I also wanted to get into growing mushrooms. Indeed.
So do you have any advice for farmers who are thinking of trying to come up with something themselves to solve a problem on their own farm?
Yes, indeed. So if you're thinking about DIY, you know, I guess it depends on the farmer, what their problem is and their skill sets. But in general, I invite people to do their own research around like possible techniques, just to get a little, get your mind going. But also take a look, stop, think about your end goal, do an inventory of your site, of all the extra materials that you may have laying around, that you may have had for another project, and see if you can utilize any of those materials to create something for your end goal.
Well, thank you so much for having us here today. We appreciate you hosting us and showing us this ingenious setup for keeping pests out of your beds.
Yes.